can see some troubling aspects in his personal life as well.
We have strong evidence to suggest that it was the subject that wrote it, but we haven't conclusively proven that yet.
And the Las Vegas police released more manifestos. So yeah, squiggles, 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 and the cursor. Try peaceful means first, but be prepared to fight to get the Dems out of the Fed government and military by any means necessary. New letters released by officials in the Las Vegas Cybertruck situation. Remember, this was being floated around the inner tubes before this press briefing occurred, and everybody was saying, is this real or not? They came out and said the following because Sean Ryan had the news.
Behind you.
How would you describe his state of mind in these final days, given everything that you read from his notes app and the manifesto that you see that you referenced going around in the podcast? Have you guys been able to rule out that it was not from him, or is it still up in the air that it could have been from him?
So the question is, how would I describe his state of mind in the manifesto that was described on the podcast? Have we been able to determine whether that was from him or not? I'll answer the first part is I'm not comfortable giving you state of mind just yet. I certainly am leaning a particular way, but again, I'd like to be factual to you. I think when you read the documents that we're going to give you a link to at the end of this press conference, that you can go in and make some of your own assumptions about what that is. But I will tell you that part of my hesitation on that is I know that we have a lot more documents and number of things for us to uncover. And so I want to be able to provide to you only the factual information when I have it. I'm not going to opine on what I believe his state of mind was at that particular time, but certainly you can see some troubling aspects in his personal life as well. And I don't know if you want to address the second part, Spencer?
Did he send that email that Sean's talking about?
In terms of the so-called manifesto that's circulating online, we have strong evidence to suggest that it was the subject that wrote it, but we haven't conclusively proven that yet. And that evidence relates to other evidence that we're finding that we're able to compare that lead us to believe it was in fact him who sent it.
It was in fact him who sent it. So evidence he wrote it, and then evidence that he sent it. And presumably he's talking about that manifesto on Sean Ryan's show. So there's people saying, oh, that manifesto is not real. And we'll go through the manifesto and point out why they say that. But the FBI is saying that he sent it. So we'll go through that. So Sean Ryan shared this email. Says, I urge everyone to dedicate at least 45 minutes to fully grasp the details that have unfolded. This episode takes a deep dive into an email sent to this guy, Sam Shoemate, analyst, Remnant Ministries on X, by Matt Leivelsberger. Within this chilling document, Leivelsberger boldly declares, what I'm going to send you is going to change the course of humanity. And read through it. Matt Leivelsberger, former Green Beret, is at the center of the story. Just days before he drove a Tesla Cybertruck loaded with explosives outside Trump Hotel, the incident has raised questions. In this episode, they unpack the manifesto's contents, the allegations of the drone technology, and other items. And the links and the attachments are below. So this is what they discussed. And this is the email that looks like it's a screenshot of an email that was forwarded. And so you pay close attention to the contents and to the structure of the document. So let's go through it. See here it says from D.A. Berg, MLB, at protonmail.com. And as we're going through this, we'll point out this header. Okay, so you see there's no space here between the D and this open whatever that is, arrow. On Tuesday, December so-and-so, redacted to blank, 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 redacted copies, CCs with copies. So did somebody copy and paste all of this and then drop it into a document? Or is this a screenshot? We'll ask that question. Here's the manifesto, allegedly. In case I do not make it to my decision point or onto the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 Jan and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. Now, people are pointing out that that might be a little strange. Some people saying that that is publicly accessible information. You can just go buy information like that online and verify, and somebody's saying that's not actually accurate. And simultaneously with this, we have a question, what is his decision point? Where was that located? Or onto the Mexico border, where was that in the roadmap? What we have been seeing, says alleged Berg, with, quote, drones is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems, powered aircraft by most recently China in the East Coast, but throughout its history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPSEN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they used the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, both underlined like they're misspelled, which are also part of the integrated comm system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. Then you see that looks like a cursor, like somebody's typing, right? There's like a cursor. So what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned AC. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. Again, White House misspelled. USG needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them, and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week, and now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and have a massive VBIED. Vehicle-based improvised explosive device. I have been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of CivSAS. They killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. US FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of a cover-up with US FORA and Agent Redacted of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with Jen Miller's IO staff on this as well as the response to Bala Murghab. AOBS commander at the time, Redacted, can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we can avoid a world war, because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. For vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Leibelsberger. An active duty 18Z out of 110, my profile is public. I have active top secret security clearance with USAP access. Sent from Proton Mail for Android. And then you see down here another email. So first one came out at 10:42 a.m. Then this one came out at 14:22, and the time looks different as well on that one. And from DA Berg MLB, and take a look at that header, you'll notice that there's a space there in that header, okay, which is different from this header. There's no space in that header there. So he wrote, like, even if you copy and pasted this and dropped it, how did that space get in there? Somebody editing this wrote, quote, sending with a VPN active on Wi-Fi only. Or did this guy send a screenshot? Did Berg send a screenshot? So do not message me, he says, sending with a VPN active on Wi-Fi only. Do not message me. I will send out updates via both Signal and email, but trust me, you're going to want to be involved. Interesting. So, there's a little bit of a cursor there. And Sean Ryan, of course, is referencing more. He says this is the pin of the location that he referenced in the email. And I think other people have been sourcing that and saying it's Area 51, give or take. Sean Ryan also said this is the UN report talking about the airstrikes. Here is the email Leibelsberger sent to the Sean Ryan show. This was submitted via a web form. DA Berg MLB, same email at Proton Mail. Hey man, this is an activity duty SFTM sergeant out of 10th. I want to blow the whistle on our activities in a certain place. I'm willing to sit down with you on the 31st in Flagstaff, Arizona, or do remotely via phone. Must be done before the 31st, as I'll be leaving. So again, that's another web form. So you can submit anything from there. You can, you can put whatever email you want in there and submit from anything. Doesn't mean that it's actually him, but it could be. I mean, it certainly, and you see that on December 29th, just a few days before. So strange, he says, this is from the DEA agent who attempted to contact me via LinkedIn as spoken during the interview. Hey dude, can you call me please before tomorrow's show? Okay, time sensitive. Uh-oh, interesting. And this is from Sean Ryan. Now, other people are also pointing out some of those interesting things. You can see they are confirming that the letter was sent, right? FBI says the letter was sent. Strong evidence that it was sent by him despite those weird anomalies. But somebody else dug this up. This person called Bone is over here, and he found this. He says, the info's wrong, okay? The car was wrong, format's wrong. So he dug up the car, And he looked this up. He says 8 vehicle records. He says, no, that wasn't his first car. Go all the way back to 2008. He had a BMW Series 1 or a 1998 Mustang, right? And you can look a lot of this stuff up because a lot of it, you can buy the data from the MVDs in these places. So he says the header's wrong. The time formats are inconsistent. See that there? If you just put those side by side. The car was an 88 Mustang, not an 07. He never owned an 07 Mustang in his life. Check this image of the emails, and that one is not. He says this is a hoax that is being spread around. And somebody else also noticed the squiggles, I think, and the Las Vegas police released more manifestos. So yeah, squiggles, 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 and the cursor under words like gravitic and sig intent. This thesis is this indicates the picture was taken in an editor, since spell check would not be a part of the read feature in email. Right. And even if you use like Grammarly or any of those things, they're not correcting other people's messages. So stuff to be apprised about. Now, meanwhile, this is the official, publicly released from government officials manifesto. This got sourced over from 8 News Now, and they're telling us at a news conference, they told us that they were going to release it. And so here is what they have now said. And we can compare and contrast that and the tone and the message with the other language in the prior manifesto. So here is what is alleged to come from Leibelsberger. Fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We are being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. Military and vets move on DC starting now. Militias facilitate and augment this activity. Occupy every major road along Fed buildings and the campus of Fed buildings by the hundreds of thousands. Lock the highways around down with semis right after everybody gets in. Hold until the purge is complete. Try peaceful means first, but be prepared to fight to get the Dems out of the Fed government and military by any means necessary. They all must go, and a hard reset must occur for our country to avoid collapse. MSG Matt Leibelsberger, 18Z 10th Special Forces Group. Okay, let's continue. Now, to be clear for our FBI censors and our YouTube censors, we're not condoning any political violence at all. Part 2 of the letter. We are the United States of America, the best country people to ever exist. But right now, we are terminally ill and headed toward collapse. We are crumbling because of a lack of self-respect, morals, and respect for others. Spelling. Greed and gluttony has consumed us. The top 1% decided long ago they weren't going to bring everyone else with them. You are cattle to them. We have strayed from family values and corrupted our minds, and I am a prime example of having it all, but it never being enough. A lot of us are just sitting around waiting to die. No sunlight, no steps, no fresh air, no hope. Our children are addicted to screens by the age of 2. We are filling our bodies with processed foods. Our population is too fat to join the military, yet we're facing a war with China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran before 2030. We must take these actions if we are going to make it past the next few years in one piece. We must end the war in Ukraine with negotiated settlement. It is the only way. Focus on strength and winning. Masculinity is good, and men must be leaders. Strength is a deterrent, and fear is the product. Weeded out those in our government and military who do not idealize number 2. The income inequality in this country and cost of living is outrageous. The number of homeless on our street is embarrassing and disgusting. Have some pride and take care of this. Stop obsessing over diversity. We are all diverse, and DEI is a cancer. Thankfully, we rejected the DEI candidate, and we will have a real president instead of weekend at Bernie's. We must move on from the culture of weakness and self-enrichment perpetuated by our senior political and military leaders. We are done with the blatant corruption. Our soldiers are done fighting wars without end states or clear objectives. This was not a terrorist attack. It was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives? Why did I personally do it now? I needed to cleanse my mind of the brothers I've lost and relieve myself of the burden of the lives I took. Consider this last sunset of 24 and my actions the end of our sickness and a new chapter of health for our people. Rally around the Trump, Musk, Kennedy, and ride this wave to the highest hegemony for all Americans. We are second to no one. From the alleged Leibelsberger Cybertruck bomber. So there's a lot of interesting things to unpack here. Now, there's a lot of comments, and so let's just dig in. I do think that some of this, if you're looking at this with a skeptical eye, as of course we are, it feels very opposite Luigi Mangione. Feels like whoever wrote this is trying to create a counter narrative. The left is very excited about Luigi Mangione because he shot somebody in the back who they don't like, and they think that's legitimate in American politics and in humanity and life and society. So it feels like almost the opposite of that. Like they're trying to write a letter that is going to speak to people on the right. A lot of these principles have echoes to mainstream criticisms from both parties, by the way, that we're being treated like cattle. Nobody cares about us. The top 1%, income inequality, inflation, war in Ukraine, and the war. It's kind of like a laundry list of Trump-ish items. And then he comes out extremely aggressively and he's like, Trump, Trump, Trump. Oh, go, we love Trump. Almost in this fashion that everybody's going to align with this person based on this alleged position that he takes. He calls out DEI, talks about Weekend at Bernie's, right? It's kind of jokey. Stuff like this is kind of jokey if you're going to be blowing yourself up after you shoot yourself in the head. Feels like it's very orchestrated, crafted to speak to a certain audience, and then the reaction to the message speaking to that audience will be, see, they are insurrectionists. They do want to kill all Democrats. They do want to surround Washington, D.C. and conduct a purge. And almost like they're baiting people on the right to identify with this position, maybe in a counter narrative to Luigi Mangione. Now, there's also a real possibility that this guy sent both those letters, and there's other, weird things happening with those edits, and that a lot of this is just to muck everything up. And like Joker in the Batman movies, right? There's not real rhyme or reason to it. We're just going to destroy and really mess everything up. So we're going to send Sean Ryan and the Special Forces community and the people who are invested in their takes on this wild goose chase on gravimetric Chinese drones, which may or may not be real. And then simultaneously, they'll come out and publish this. This will cause mainstream media and the left to just go, see, we told you so. Special Forces MAGA person is going to lead an insurrection against American democracy or something. And of course, that is nonsense. So I am very skeptical about everything in this entire story. And I don't see from the evidence logical consistency. And they also seem to point to this, it's almost cope here. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives? Well, I mean, there's a lot of other ways because it's kind of like a joke. Everybody's going, this is kind of a joke. You're Special Forces dude for 20 years, and this is how you're going to get everybody's attention with a little fireworks parade or something? Like, that's it? Okay, I don't think so. But all right, and you did it outside Trump Hotel? A lot of people are paying attention to it, but the point here is that was going to end the war in Ukraine. That was going to inspire other Special Forces bros to rally around DC? Your little fireworks explosion? It doesn't make any sense. And then he also mentioned in the other letter, which the FBI said that there's good evidence that he sent, that he may have been going to Mexico. So what was the decision point where he said, going to go to Mexico over on here on one hand, or alternatively, I'll go back and just eliminate myself? Bizarre stuff.